My girlfriend has been cheating on me for months using our shared calendar to cover her tracks. I'm a 28 male, and my girlfriend Selena is 26 female. We've been together for about 2 years and living together for the past 8 months. I thought we had a solid relationship. We even shared an Outlook calendar to coordinate our schedule since we're both pretty busy with work and social stuff. I'm a software developer at a mid-sized tech company. She works in marketing for a wellness brand. 3 weeks ago, everything changed. I was grabbing lunch when I saw Selena, this trendy coffee shop about 6 blocks from where I work. She was sitting at one of those small round tables by the window, really close to some guy I didn't recognize, like uncomfortably close, nice, touching, leaning into each other's space. At first I thought maybe it was just a work colleague or an old friend, but then I saw her reach across the table and touch his face in this really intimate way before leaning over to kiss him. Not a friendly peck either. This was a full-on romantic kiss that lasted way longer than it should have. My first instinct was to march over there and confirm. Them both demand an explanation, maybe cause a scene, but something held me back. Maybe it was shock, maybe I wanted to understand what I was seeing first before I did something I couldn't take back. I ducked behind a concrete pillar near the entrance and watched for another few minutes, feeling like a creep, but unable to look away. They were holding hands across the table, laughing at something on his phone, being all coupling. In that easy, comfortable way that comes from spending a lot of time together. The way we used to be in public before we got too comfortable. The weird part that kept nagging at me. I checked our shared calendar that morning while planning my day, and she had Yoga Central Studio blocked out for that exact time slot, 1:00 to 2:30 p.m. I remembered because I'd considered suggesting we grab lunch together, but saw she was busy and figured I'd just eat alone. I went back to work in a complete daze, couldn't focus on code for the rest of the afternoon. Part of me wanted to believe there was some innocent explanation, but deep down, I knew what I'd seen, and it made my stomach feel like I'd swallowed concrete. When she got home that evening around 6:30, I asked her really how yoga went while we were making dinner together. She launched into this detailed story about how challenging the new instructor was. Our hamstrings were still tight from Tuesday's session, and how sore she was going to be tomorrow. She even showed me some stretches she'd learned, explaining the proper form and breathing technique. The lies came so easily to her, so naturally. Likes practice them. I decided to probe a little deeper. Oh, which instructor was it today? I thought you usually had Sarah on Wednesdays without missing a beat. She said no, Sarah's on vacation this week. They had this substitute Marcus, and he's way more intense. Why? The way she asked why had the slight edge to it, like I was being weird for showing interest in our hobbies. Just curious, I said. Maybe I should try a class sometime. You're always raving about how great it is. Her response was immediate. Oh, you wouldn't like it. It's really advanced, and they have this whole community thing going on. You'd feel out of place. Then she quickly changed the subject to what we should watch on Netflix, effectively shutting down any more questions. That tiny deflection, the way she made it sound like I wasn't good enough for her yoga studio, confirmed what my gut was already telling me. That's when I decided I needed to figure out what was really going on before I did anything drastic. I've learned the hard way that assumptions can destroy relationships. Edit. A lot of people are asking why I didn't just confront her immediately. Honestly, I've been burned before by jumping to conclusions. My ex in college accused me of cheating when I was actually planning a surprise party for her with her best friend. I learned that having all the facts first saves everyone a lot of pain and unnecessary drama. To clarify the calendar situation, we started sharing it about 6 months ago because we were both double booking ourselves and missing plans with each other. It was actually her idea. Said it would help us be more intentional about our time together and show that we were serious about building a future. The irony isn't lost on me now. Update 1 posted 1 week later. Reddit. I'm back with an update. And it's not good. Thank you to everyone who told me to investigate before confronting. You were absolutely right. What I found was so much worse than just one coffee shop encounter. After seeing Selena at that coffee shop, I started paying attention to patterns and inconsistency I'd previously ignored. I didn't want to become some paranoid boyfriend checking her phone or following her around like a private investigator. But I also couldn't just pretend I hadn't witnessed what I'd witnessed. First thing I noticed, her yoga schedule had become weirdly consistent over the past few months. 3 times week, always the same time, slow. Lots, always Central Studio in our shared calendar. I looked up Central Studio online. Turns out it's a real place about 15 minutes from downtown. But when I checked their actual class schedule, it didn't match, which he had blocked out at all. They don't even offer classes on Tuesdays. But she had hot yoga Central Studio every Tuesday at 2 p.m. for the past 3 months. I started taking screenshots of her calendar and trees and cross-referencing them with the studio's website. Out of 12 yoga classes she'd attended in the past month, only 3 aligned with actual class times. The rest were either during hours when the studio was closed or when they only offered completely different types of classes. Then I started looking at her Instagram more carefully, going back through posts from the past few months. She'd post these gym selfies and yoga mat photos with captions like "pushing through the burn" and "namaste strong," but I noticed she was never actually sweaty or flushed like you'd be after a real workout. Her hair and makeup were always perfect, which seemed odd for someone who claimed to be doing hot yoga 3 times a week. The timestamps on the photos also didn't match her calendar blocks. She'd post a post-yoga glow selfie at 1:30 p.m. when her calendar said yoga was from 2 to 3 p.m. When I checked the location data on some of the photos, she always had location services on. Several of them were taken nowhere near Central Studio. The real breakthrough came when I was helping her upload photos from her phone to our shared Google Photos account last weekend. She'd asked me to help organize them into albums while she was doing laundry, and I saw a bunch of pictures she hadn't posted anywhere, all of them featuring the same guy from the coffee shop. They were at restaurants I recognized around the city, some of them clearly taken during her supposed yoga times. One photo showed them sharing a dessert at Luna Cafe with a timestamp of 2:15 p.m. on a Tuesday when her calendar said she was at Central Studio. This Julian guy, I figured out his name from her tagging him and old Instagram stories that she'd later deleted, but I'd seen the notifications, seemed to have no idea I existed. His Instagram was public, and he posted photos of them together going back months. His captions were things like "perfect afternoon with this beautiful woman," and "can't believe how lucky I am to have found her." None of his friends' comments mentioned anything about her having a boyfriend, and several people commented things like "you two are so cute together," and "when are you making it official?" I felt physically sick. The most messed up part, she gotten genuinely upset with me twice for suggesting dinner plans during her yoga blocks, saying I needed to respect her commitment to fitness and mental health. She gave me whole lectures about how important it was for her to have sacred time for self-care, and how couples who don't support each other's individual growth are doomed to fail. I started screenshot and everything, the calendar entries, the Instagram photos with timestamps, the location data, Julian's posts about their dates. I even found receipts in her purse from restaurants she'd been to with Julian on days when she told me she was too tired from work to go out. I created a full folder on my laptop called Evidence and organized everything by date. Looking at it all laid out chronologically, I could see the pattern clearly. This wasn't some recent development or emotional affair that got out of hand. She'd been systematically planning and executing these meetups for at least 4 months, maybe longer. she's been deliberately lying to me every day for months, using our shared calendar as her personal cheating coordinator. She's even started adding fake details to make her stories more believable. Instructor Sarah was really pushing us today, or they played this amazing meditation music at the end, or I'm thinking about signing up for the teacher training program. I haven't confronted her yet because I'm still trying to figure out the best way to handle this mess. Part of me wants to just pack my stuff and disappear without explanation, let her figure out that I know. Another part of me thinks she deserves to face what she's done, to have to explain herself and deal with the consequences. Julian deserves to know the truth too. It's clear from his social media that he thinks he's in an exclusive relationship with her, posting about his girl and making future plans. Edit: for everyone asking why I haven't just left already. Logistically, it's complicated. We're both on the lease until March. She'd need time to find a new place or a roommate to cover half. Update to posted 3 days later. Holy shit, Reddit, I did it. And the results were even better than I hoped. This is going to be long because so much has happened in the past 72 hours. After reading all your comments and advice, I decided the most elegant solution was to let Julian figure it out himself using the same evidence I discovered. I couldn't just send him a random message saying, "Hey, your girlfriend is cheating," because he might not believe me, think I was some crazy stalker ex trying to cause trouble, or assume I was lying to break them up. So I got creative with our shared Outlook calendar. I spent Tuesday evening adding detailed factual notes to every single one of silliness yoga appointments from the past 3 months. I used all the evidence I'd methodically gathered over the past 2 weeks. Yoga at Central Studio, actually lunch date with Julian at Brew, and bin receipt shows $34.50 for 2 people. Photo evidence available. Hot yoga class, actually dinner, at Rosethie's with Julian. His Instagram story from 3:42 p.m. shows pasta dish. Selena posted matching photo 20 minutes later. Meditation workshop, actually afternoon at Morrison Park, with Julian. Google Photos location data confirms multiple selfish taken together. Restorative yoga session, actually movie date. Julian's Twitter shows tickets to 15 AMC Theater. I also added Julian's Instagram handle to several entries with notes like yoga partner. Check his IG stories for photos from this workout session, including the one where they're clearly at Pioneer Courthouse Square, not a yoga studio. For some entries, I got really specific. No, Central Studio was closed this day for renovation, according to their website, yet Selena came home with detailed story about challenging class and instructor feedback. Then came the crucial part. I created a new calendar event for Thursday yesterday at 7 p.m. titled Important Discussion About Our Relationship. All parties involved should attend. I included Julian's email address as a meeting invitee. Found it through his professional LinkedIn, which was linked on his Instagram. In the detailed notes section, I wrote, "Hi Julian, you don't know me, but we definitely need to talk. I'm Eddie, Selena's live-in boyfriend of 2 years. I've shared this calendar with you because I think you deserve to know what's really been going on. Please check the detailed notes I've added to her yoga appointments. I've included photo evidence, receipts, location data, and time stamps if you want to talk. My phone number, Eddie." Then I shared the entire calendar with viewing permissions and sent the meeting invite. I made sure to be home Wednesday evening when Silly got back from her latest workout session. Spoiler alert, she was at Julian's apartment. She didn't notice anything different about the calendar on her phone that night, just kissed me hello, and started talking about her day at work. Thursday morning around 10:15, I got a text from an unknown number. "This is Julian. Are you able to call me right now? We need to talk immediately." We ended up talking for about an hour. Turns out Julian thought he'd been exclusively dating Selena for almost 4 months. She told him she was just getting out of a really toxic situation with her ex. Apparently that's me. He'd been planning to ask her to make things official this weekend. Julian was actually incredibly cool about the whole situation. He thanked me for not causing some dramatic public scene and for giving him concrete evidence so he could make an informed decision. He said he appreciated that had approached it like an adult instead of just trying to destroy his relationship. He also filled in some gaps in my knowledge. Selena had been telling him I was her psycho ex who she was afraid of, which is why she couldn't give him or address or have him pick her up from home. She claimed I was obsessed with her and would probably do something crazy if I found out she was dating someone new. She convinced him that all the secrecy was for her safety, according to Julian, when he showed her the calendar Thursday afternoon and asked her to explain the detailed notes. She initially tried to claim it was all fabricated. She said I was stalking her and had photoshopped evidence. To sabotage your happiness is because I couldn't accept that we were broken up. She apparently got really emotional and started crying, saying I was dangerous and she was scared of what I might do next. But Julian isn't stupid. He had his own photos and memories that corroborated everything on the calendar. Plus, she couldn't explain why she told him I was an ex when we were clearly still together and sharing a calendar. The final straw for him was when she started claiming that their entire 4-month relationship was just as friends and that he'd misinterpreted everything. He showed her his own Instagram posts where she'd been tagged photos of them kissing and holding hands, messages where she called him pet names and talked about their future together. He ended it right there in the coffee shop where they'd met to talk through the misunderstanding. She came home Thursday evening and slammed the door so hard our neighbor's dog started barking. What the hell is wrong with you? She screamed before I could even say hello. You violated my privacy and sabotaged my relationship with Julian. I stood in the kitchen, still holding the plate I'd been washing, not a single word of apology or acknowledgement of what she'd actually done, just pure rage that she'd been caught. Selena, we need to talk about. No, you need to explain why you're being so controlling and manipulative. Her face was flushed, hands gesturing wildly, sharing our calendar with Julian. That's like revenge porn, that psychotic behavior. I set the plate down carefully, trying to stay calm. You've been using that same shared calendar to court. Nate, you're cheating for months. I'm not cheating, she snapped. You're twisting everything and making me out to be some kind of monster when my friendship with Julian is none of your business. Friendship? I stared at her. How is a relationship you're having while living with me and claiming to be my exclusive girlfriend none of my business? She crossed her arms defensively, chin raised. We never actually said we were exclusive. You just assumed we were. Reddit, we absolutely did have that conversation multiple times. When I started reading some of those messages out loud, she said I was weaponizing her words and taking them out of context. Apparently, when she said she loved me and wanted to build a life together, she meant as friends, and I was too dense to understand the nuance. She's been staying at her sister's place since Thursday night while she processes this betrayal. Her words, not mine. I'm using the time to figure out our living situation because I'm obviously done with this relationship. Edit. Julian texted me this morning saying she'd been blowing up his phone all night trying to get him back. She apparently told him I had forced her to lie about our relationship and that she'd wanted to break up with me for months, but was scared of how I'd react. She claimed she'd been trying to work up the courage to leave me when they started dating. He's not responding to her anymore and actually blocked her number after she called him 23 times yesterday. Final update posted 1 week later. This is definitely going to be my final update because this situation has reached its conclusion and frankly, I need to move on with my life instead of realty gating this drama on Reddit. Selena came back Monday evening to collect more of her belongings and have what she called a mature conversation about our future. I thought maybe after a week of cooling off she'd finally take some responsibility for what had happened, maybe even apologize. I was completely wrong. She spent nearly 2 hours trying to convince me that I was the real villain in this entire situation. According to her revised version of events, she and Julian were just friends who sometimes grabbed coffee or lunch, and I misinterpreted their relationship because I'm natural, insecure, and suspicious. The physical intimacy I witnessed was just how some people express friendship, and I was imposing head or normative assumptions on their platonic connection. Sharing the calendar with Julian was equivalent to revenge porn and constituted emotional abuse because I'd violated her privacy without consent. The whole situation was actually Julian's fault for taking advantage of her friendly nature, and my fault for not communicating better about my expectations. When I showed her some of the literal photos I'd found of them kissing and holding hands in various locations around the city, she said they were taken out of context. Claimed I was stalking her by looking at pictures she'd willingly shared in our mutual Google Photos account. When I read her some of Julian's Instagram captions about their romantic date, she said he was delusional and making things up to make himself feel important. The most insane part was when she tried to reframe the calendar situation as a violation of our human rights. She said had weaponized her organizational tools against her, and that it was deeply manipulative to add those notes without her explicit consent. When I asked her to explain why there were so many fake yoga appointments if everything was innocent, she said she'd needed personal time to process her feelings and knew I'd make it about me and my insecurities if she was honest about spending time with a male friend. She said she was protecting both of us from unnecessary drama by creating a harmless cover story. I pointed out that harmless cover story is just another way of saying systematic lies, and she accused me of being semantically manipulative and twisting her words to fit my narrative. Throughout this entire conversation, she never once apologized. Every single thing was somehow my fault or Julian's fault or society's fault for not understanding the complexity of modern relationships. She actually wanted to work things out and suggested we start seeing a couples therapist to address my trust issues. Controlling 10.